The best quality in the world that you can develop, and I give it to you because I made it my life's habit to develop this, is to develop the quality of being unstoppable. Develop the quality of being unstoppable. It's the basis of self-esteem. Say in yourself that no matter what life throws at me, it'll never stop me. No matter how rough it gets, I will never quit, and nothing will ever stop me. Make the decision that you can be tired, you can be worn out, but nothing is ever going to stop you. Life is never one continuous train. It's always up and down. So it goes up. Like if you climb a mountain peak, you have to go down into the valley before you climb the next peak. So all of life is cycles and trends. All of life is cycles and trends. And there's up cycles and there's down cycles, and there's up trends and there's down trends. The question is, what is the general direction of your trends? We say this, is that life is 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Successful people focus on the 2 steps forward, and then they protect themselves on the downside. They very carefully watch what they're doing, so they try to maintain that 2 steps up, and then make sure that the 1 step back is not so far. And then they want to make sure that this curve is generally upward, so that each time there's a step back, they're still further ahead than they were before. You're going to be knocked down over and over again, and what we know, as my friend Charlie Jones says, is you have to bounce, don't break. You see, the only way we can be successful is if we develop momentum. And we cannot develop the momentum unless we are struggling with obstacles. And struggle with adversity goes hand in hand with all great success. What most people do is they back away from adversity. But if you want to see if you're a brave person, what they call the 4 o'clock in the morning courage, wait when things go completely to pieces, when things are the worst, when your very best deal falls apart and your rent is late and you're tired and you're sick and everybody is mad at you and your car doesn't work, then it's the person that picks themselves up and says, nothing is going to stop me. And so what I learned many years ago was this interesting technique of what is called mental rehearsal. And mental rehearsal says that you mentally prepare for the inevitable downturns before they occur. So you say, all right, in the course of life, things are going to go wrong, but when they do, I'm not going to become upset. I'm not going to get mad or angry or anything else. I'm just going to take it and learn from it and pick myself up and keep going. Sometimes I ask this question, does anybody here have any problems? Everybody says, yes, everybody's got problems. Well, here's the rule, is all of life is a continuous series of problems. They never end. The problems just keep on coming, like the waves of the ocean. The only break in this unbroken series of problems will be the occasional crisis. So life will be problem, 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 crisis. Which means that everybody here is either in a crisis right now, has just gotten out of a crisis, or is just about to have a crisis. So what we have found is this, the hallmark of superior people, 30 years of research, is how you respond to a crisis. How you deal with problems and how you respond to a crisis. And what we have found is this, is superior people look for the solution to every problem. They don't allow themselves to become upset and angry. When something goes wrong, they say, okay, what's the solution? And they become intensely solution-oriented. When you have a very intense problem, that stimulates creativity to solve the problem. So what you do is you write and define the problem clearly. If you have a problem, you say, wait a minute, what is my problem? What is it that I'm worried about? And write it down. And the very act of defining a problem clearly often triggers the solution to the problem. One technique that I want to give you with regard to your major definite purpose, we call this mind storming. And if you only do these 2 things as a result of our time together, they will transform your life. You've already identified the one goal that can have the greatest positive impact on your life. Now what you do is you take that goal and you write it at the top of a page in the form of a question. And you say, let us say your goal is to double your income. That could have a major impact on your life. You say, what are all the things that I could do to double my income in the next 12 months? Write it as a clear question. The more specific the question, the better. Then you devote yourself to writing 20 answers to this question. You must write a minimum of 20 answers. Work harder, work smarter, start earlier, stay later, change occupations, upgrade my skills, whatever it is, keep forcing yourself to write till you've written 20 answers. The first 3 to 5 answers will be easy. The next 3 to 5 answers will be difficult. The last 10 answers will be incredibly difficult. But I have given this exercise to people who've gone on to become millionaires so many times I've lost track, because they often find that the 20th answer changes their whole life.
And if you've ever done this once, it's absolutely staggering. More people have become millionaires with this simple idea of mindstorming, what I call the 20 idea method, than any other single method of creative thinking ever discovered. Once you've got your 20 answers, pick one answer and take action on it immediately. Once you've got, it doesn't matter what it is, just take one answer and take action on it, and that will keep you thinking and acting creatively all day long.
And the most wonderful thing is that when you take the first step, is you get 3 benefits. The first benefit is that you get feedback, which enables you to self-correct. And all of life is a process of experimenting and feedback and changing and correcting. That's all of life. Second of all is you get ideas. There's something about acting that actually triggers your creativity. It makes you smarter. It activates more of your brain. Sitting there passively doesn't do anything, but taking action actually sort of lights up your brain like a Christmas tree. And the third factor is that taking action gives you confidence. Your self-confidence goes up. Is the more actions you take in the direction of your goals, the more confidence you have, the more creative you are, the more energy you have, the happier you are. You feel like you're in control of your life. You feel powerful. And that is why the difference, the 80-20 rule that we've talked about, the top 20% of people in every society and business are proactive. They're constantly taking action. The bottom 80% are passive, is they're waiting for someone else to come and tell them what to do. And so since you are highly proactive, you're obviously in the top, probably the top 10% of your field. And the people in the top 10% are the ones who enjoy all the rewards. They're the ones that make all the money. They're the ones that make all the progress. Maybe not in the short term, but in the long term. You know, we're talking on the radio today is that the average self-made millionaire has been bankrupt or nearly bankrupt 2.3 times before they broke through. And they finally hit it. And they made countless mistakes. They failed over and over again. They fell on their face and fell on their face. But because they knew where they were going, when they fell on their face and picked themselves up, they were a little bit closer to their goal. Each time you fall down, you pick yourself up. I was in China last week. And in China, they have this saying, a journey of 1,000 leagues begins with a single step. Well, the first step is always the hardest. To do something new, to start something new, to move out of your comfort zone, the first step is always the hardest. But it's very much like skiing. In skiing, you have to work very hard to get yourself up to the top of the slope, and then you push off, and then the natural momentum starts to carry you, and you go faster and faster down the slope. Well, taking the first step is the same as pushing off. Once you take the first step, you kind of break the inertia that's holding you back, and you start to move faster towards your goal. Now, when you take the first step, the most wonderful thing is you can then see the second step, and then you can see the third step, and you can always see one step ahead. And the difference between winners and losers in business and in life is winners take the first step. Everybody wants to be rich and successful and happy and healthy and have a great family relationship and live forever. The only question is some people take the first step, and then they take the second step, and they take the third step, and they keep getting feedback and ideas, and they fail and they fall down and they pick themselves up, but they're intensely action-oriented. If there's one thing about top people like yourself, is they're action-oriented. How do I know that you're action-oriented? It's because you're here. You had to go through a lot of time and trouble and inconvenience to be here today, which means that you're action-oriented people. That is the highest praise that you can say to a person. Most people, the bottom 80%, are passive. I'd like to do a little exercise, which we do all the time. It's one of the most important exercises that I ever discovered, and it is this. Imagine that you have a magic wand, and a magic wand is a way of thinking. In magic wand thinking, you imagine you could wave a magic wand and you could have your situation any way you wanted. And when you do that, you'll find the number one reason why we don't move ahead is because we have fears and doubts, we have limitations, we don't have enough money, I didn't get enough education, I don't know enough people, the competition is too hard, it's too hot outside, blah, 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 okay? And so when you wave a magic wand, you say, imagine that you have no limitations, and you could wave a magic wand, and you could have anything that you wanted in life. So one of the things we do when we do strategic planning with corporations, and I suggest that you do this, we say, imagine you could wave a magic wand and create what is called a 5-year fantasy. You could project forward 5 years, and 5 years from now, your life would be perfect in every way. If your life was perfect in every way 5 years from now, how would it be different from today? And one of the things that we teach in more extended courses is the 4 areas. First of all, your business, your career, your income. Second of all, your family and relationships. Third of all, your health. And fourth of all, your financial condition overall. Those are the 4 critical areas of life. And about 99% of your happiness or unhappiness will be because of success or failure in one of those 4 areas. And I cannot tell you how important this is, because there's a rule that says that whatever you see, you will be. And if you have a clear picture of what you would like your future to look like, and then you come back to the present and you say, all right, if that's where I want to be in 5 years, what would I have to do starting today to begin to create that perfect future? What would be the first step? And here's the most amazing thing, is you can always see the first step. You'd always know that you should start doing more of this, or start doing less of that, or start doing something new, or stop doing something that you're already doing. But you can always see the first step.
So here's one of the key questions of the evening. Starting tomorrow, what are you going to do that'll make a change in your life's direction? Good question. What are you going to do starting tomorrow that'll make a difference? Now see, if you don't do something starting tomorrow that'll make a difference, guess what? It's gonna be the same. And see, that way you can guess what the next 5 years are going to be like. Look at the last 5. Because the next 5 are going to be like the last 5 unless you, major key, tomorrow, change it all. Or change a little, or change something, or don't change. It's choice time. You can do whatever you want. But it's nice to know any day you wish you can change your whole life. What can you do starting tomorrow that'll make a difference? Big question. Are you reading the books that's going to take you where you want to go in the next 5 years? Excellent question. So you want to make sure. I would assume for all of you, to get where you want to be in the next 5 years, you're either reading the right books or you're not. That's kind of a brilliant statement, right? You're either engaged in the disciplines or you're not. But here's what we don't want to engage in. Disillusion. Hoping without acting. Wishing without doing. So the key is to take a look and say, where am I? What could I do to make the changes, to make sure that I can take more certain daily steps toward the treasure I want, the mental treasure, the personal treasure, the spiritual treasure, the financial treasure. I don't want to make any errors. Now's the time to adjust my daily program to take me where I want to go. But here's what's exciting to me. Just a few daily disciplines makes a great deal of difference in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. Just a few daily disciplines. Whether you wind up here or here. Good question. 10 years from now, you will surely arrive. The question is, where? We don't want to kid ourselves about where. We don't want to kid ourselves about the road we're walking. I had a day shortly after I met Mr. Schoaf called Do Not Kid Myself Anymore Day. I don't want to go disillusioned anymore. I was using the cross-finger theory back when I was 25, 24, 23. I finally decided that the cross-finger theory was not going to get me what I wanted. That isn't where the treasure lies. That I'm going to have to make sure which of these ways I'm headed. But a few reading disciplines and a few disciplines of mind and a few disciplines of activity, and you can make all the difference in the world whether you wind up here or whether you wind up here. But just a few changes. Sometimes we get the idea that we're doing about 10% and there's about 90% more that we need in order to make the difference for our fortune. And probably the opposite is true. We're doing enough things to have bought and shared in the good life so far. And maybe all you need is that extra 5%, 10% of intellectual change, activity change, a refinement of discipline, a refinement of thought. And the equity starts gathering in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Now let me give you an interesting point. Successful people have been studied at great length for many years, and their behaviors have been observed. What do successful people do that's different from other people? One of the things that we find is that successful people, all of them, if they get an idea, they move quickly on it. If they learn something new, they try it out. Now people say, well, what if it doesn't work? Well, if it doesn't work, find out quickly. There's a rule, just try quickly and fail fast. But the wonderful thing is that you can't lose by trying something new. So if you were to take successful people, and there's many studies that have been done on this, if you could only look at them through a window and look at a group of people, look through the window, you could tell who the successful people are because they're always in motion. They're always trying more things. They're always active. Unsuccessful people are always waiting for everything to be just right. It's like waiting for a bus on a street where no buses go. They're still waiting. Where the bus? The bus never comes. Successful people are always taking action. So if all you do is just take more action, just get busier, you'll be more successful. By the way, does everybody here want to be lucky? Would you like to be lucky? Say yes. Now, I studied this for many years, and what I found is that it's not luck, it's what we call the law of probabilities. The law of probabilities says that if you flip a coin, the probabilities are 50% it will come down heads or tails, okay? So, how do you make your own luck? The way you make your own luck is you try more things. It's very simple. It's like life is a great game of darts, okay? Now, if you only throw one dart at the board, your chances of hitting a bullseye are very, very small because of the law of probabilities. But if you throw dart after dart after dart after dart after dart at the board, what must you eventually do? First of all, even if you're an idiot, you'll eventually hit the board. And if you keep throwing darts, and you keep throwing darts one after another, even if you're an idiot, you will sooner or later hit a bullseye. Isn't that true? So you look at successful people, and one of the things we find about successful people is that they're just average people who try more things. They just try more things. They're more active. They make more calls. In selling, we make more calls. And in life, we just try more things. Now, here's an interesting thing. If you throw darts, how many times will you miss the bullseye? Most of the time. Most of the things you try won't work. The fact is that successful people fail far more than unsuccessful people. In other words, if you throw lots of darts, you're going to miss most of the time. But you don't focus on the misses. As a matter of fact, here's a rule. If you could throw 10 darts and be absolutely guaranteed that 9 would fail, try 9 different things in life, make 9 calls, and be absolutely guaranteed that 9 out of 10 calls that you make, 90%, would fail completely, but 1 would be a big hit. If you could be guaranteed of a 90% failure rate with a 1% success rate, what would that mean? It means you'd be one of the most successful people alive. Isn't that true? Because then all you have to do is say, whoa, let's start, because, in other words, increase the probabilities. And then people say, boy, you're sure lucky. No, I'm not lucky. I just saw more people. I just tried more things. Now, every time you learn something new, it's like throwing another dart. Every time you read a book, listen to a tape, come to a course like this, it's like adding more darts to your bag, so you have more darts to throw. And so an average person who's got more darts to throw will be more successful than a genius who's got very few darts to throw. So it's really important. Well, but you can make your own luck by simply throwing more darts, by trying more things. Because the law is that if you try enough things, you will be a big success. If you try enough things, because human beings are learning organisms. In other words, we're always learning from our experiences. We're learning at a conscious level and even at an unconscious level. But you cannot help but learn. You're just learning all the time. So even if you're trying things and you're failing, you're still learning at a very fast rate. In fact, you learn more and faster from failure than from anything else. Nobody really learns much from success. But from failure, you get real smart. Like burning your hand. You learn very fast.
Let me tell you a secret. The greatest successes come from having the freedom to fail. Facebook wasn't the first thing I built. I also built chat systems and games, study tools and music players, and I'm not alone. J.K. Rowling got rejected 12 times before she finally wrote and published Harry Potter. Even Beyoncé had to make hundreds of songs to get Halo.
Your time is limited. When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made an impression on me, and since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary.
Ideas don't come out fully formed. They only become clear as you work on them. You just have to get started.